What is baseboard heat? Stick around as I get into that in the question of the day. What's going on, guys? Matt in the hat. Matt Johnson Real Estate, powered by Keller Williams Diamond Partners. You are tuned in to the hot list. I come to you on Monday through Friday around 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We hang out and talk real estate. We talk properties new to the market with recent price reductions or something unique about the property that I want to share with y'all and want y'all to know. I also answer a question of the day that is submitted by a listener of the podcast. And to find out how you get your question answered on air, just hang out with me till the end. Finally, I recognize and thank a sponsor of the week each and every single week. If you would like more information on what it takes to become a sponsor of the week and support the hot list, just hang out with me for a few minutes and I will get you that information. So as you guys are coming into this, whether you're watching this live on Facebook or YouTube or catching the replay, thank you guys so much. Make sure that you like this, share this out, maybe even tag somebody that could benefit from this. If you're listening on the actual podcast, don't forget to leave me a review. I greatly appreciate it. It helps others find the podcast and just helps them get some real estate answers as well. So whether you're listening to it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, please make sure that you leave me a review. 5 stars preferred. If can't give me a 5-star, let me know what it is I can do better in order to get that 5-star. The property we're talking about today is a newly listed property. The address is 718 Road 150 right here in Emporia. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath farmhouse. It's got 1,434 square feet of finished space, currently listed for $139,900, courtesy of Farm and Home. Like I said, this farmhouse is 1.5 story. It's got a storm cellar in there. Plus, it has just over 5 acres of land that comes with it. I believe it's 5.2 acres. This house is move-in ready. It's got several outbuildings. It's got a 2-car detached garage. Got some outbuildings right next to it. The house itself's got new floors, new furnace. In the description, that's going to take you right to my website so you can see the property for yourself. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know. Just a reminder, once the house goes under contract or sold, the link will no longer work as the property will no longer be available. If you are a buyer and not currently working with an agent, have questions or would like to schedule a showing, all you got to do is shoot me a message and I would be happy to help you out with that as well. Before I get to the question of the day, I do want to recognize and thank our sponsor of the week this week, and that is Quality Air here in Emporia. They sell and service heating and air conditioning units here in the Emporia area. They're located at 517 Sunny Slope in Emporia, and you can contact them by calling 620-340-0445 and just ask to speak with Tony or Jerry. I've also included a link to their website so you can get some additional information about Quality Air themselves, as well as some of the Amana brands and units that they carry. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the week, all you got to do is shoot me a message on Facebook or drop me a comment wherever you're listening to this, and I'll be happy to reach out with you, have a further in-depth conversation, see if you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the week and what it takes to support the hot list. All right, so that is going to bring us to my favorite portion of the podcast, and that is the question of the day. The question of the day is submitted by a listener of the podcast. If you have a question about real estate, not sure where to start, I would be happy to be your real estate resource that you start with and get you some information, maybe help point you in the direction that's best for you. So to get your question answered, all you got to do, like I said, just shoot me a message on Facebook or wherever you're listening to this, just drop it in the comments, and I will not only answer that question for you, I will also use that for content such as this episode to help others find answers, because if you have that question, it's a safe bet that others have that question as well and aren't sure where to start. So why not start with me? So question of the day, what is baseboard heat? Now, I talked about this very briefly a few episodes ago, didn't go into a whole lot of detail at the time, and I'm sure that's where this question came from, because a lot of the episodes that I do, when I talk about something, I don't go into a whole lot of detail very often, and has that's where a lot of these questions come up. Some people may know what it is. I know what it is. Personally, I've seen a number of them. I've even sold homes with baseboard heat in them. However, others may not know what they are, may have not seen them, and or maybe not know what they even look like or how they work. The one thing we can all agree on is keeping our home warm, especially this time of year. That's extremely important. And I've talked previously about heating solutions that all get the job done. One that is very often overlooked is baseboard heat. Whether people are unfamiliar with it, maybe they've just seen it in older homes, or based on decisions from older baseboard units, they know that there's flaws or some type of heating issue. Now, modern baseboard heating is still around. I know that's a surprise to many of you listening. It is still around. What is also better about it now, it also maintains heat well within the home while not breaking your bank account. If you're not sure if it's a good option for you, what we're going to talk about today, we're actually going to get into 4 things that you need to know about baseboard heat. So number 1, what are baseboard heaters? Well, it's really all in the name. These are heating units that are installed near the floor around the baseboard of certain walls. Typically not all walls, but you will see that from time to time. These produce heat at ground level, and this allows the natural properties of air to circulate the heat around the home, because as many of us know, hot air rises, colder air sinks. These type of heaters don't need fans or other elements like a forced air system does, and depending on your heat needs as well as the layout of your home, this can be used as supplemental heat or maybe even as a sole source of heat. That last one is not recommended, but could be a last option. Number 2, electric versus hydronic heaters. There's 2 types of baseboard heaters that are most common, and those are electric units and hydronic units. So electric units work similar to that of a space heater. These use heating elements to generate heat when electricity is applied to the filaments inside the heater. These are usually hardwired into homes. However, you may see a plug-in option from time to time. Those aren't very common. These are generally less efficient than other heating options, and that's why they're often used part-time, especially while somebody's sleeping at night or when they get up in the morning. Now, hydronic heaters are more energy efficient, and these can be used as more of an overall heat system. What happens with these, what makes them different, is these feature containers of oil or some other type of fluid that is warmed in throughout the entire baseboard heater. The fluid retains the heat for a lot longer than just the electric filament will, and this allows the heater to be actively heating while using small amounts of power, because the heater itself will radiate heat in the room just from that heated up fluid in there. Number 3, advantages of baseboard heat. Now, I know this is going to come as a shock to many of you listening to this, there, believe it or not, there are several positives for baseboard heat. They don't use forced air to move the heat, so the heaters are much quieter. They don't require as much annual maintenance as what your forced air system will, and you don't have to change filters once or twice a year like you do in a forced air unit. There's also no ductwork to install with these. Each heater only heats the area around itself, so they're typically not designed for whole home heat like a forced air unit is. And the other advantage, it provides more even heat. So with your forced air systems, they fluctuate on and off based on the temperature in one area of the house, and that's going to determine the temperature in the remainder of the house. So if that one particular area is warmer than others or colder than others, that's going to kick your system on and off. So the example I always use is my bedroom is always hot or always cold based on the time of year, because it's a smaller room compared to my living room that is much larger but is usually hot in the summertime, cold in the wintertime, just because of where my thermostat sits. And finally, number 4, the positioning of baseboard units themselves. You'll generally see these placed below windows or similar areas, and this is because there's going to be cooler air that might enter the home through there. What happens is that because the cold air is denser than warm air, like we talked about earlier, the heater takes in that colder air, warms it up, and then radiates it into the rest of the room. By doing this and positioning them in situations or positions like this throughout the house, this helps prevent drafts as well as cold floors in the home. It creates an air current in the home as well as the warmer air rises and is replaced by cooler air again, so it just cycles over and over. So those are the four need to knows about baseboard heat. Number 1, what are they themselves? Again, the name says it all. They're just heating units that are installed near the floor around the baseboard. Doesn't require a fan or any type of blower because it just radiates heat in that area. Number 2, electric versus hydronic. Since there are 2 types of heaters, electric obviously ties into your electricity and is heated up with a filament. Not ideal for heating the whole home. Hydronic, because they're more efficient, they have some type of oil or fluid in them, so they last much longer than the electric heating units do. Again, and number 3, advantages. There are advantages because such as much less maintenance each year versus a forced air. There's no duct work to install or be cleaned, and they provide more even heat than the forced air units. And finally, number 4, positioning of the heaters themselves. You'll generally see these placed below windows or areas similar to it where there might be a draft or cooler air entering the home. Because that colder air is heavier, it sinks. Those heaters capture it, heat it up, and then let it radiate out throughout the house. So there are a lot of things to take into consideration to figure out whether baseboard heat may be right for you and your home. I'm not here to say whether it is or not. That's entirely up to you. Just make sure that you take into account the layout of your home, the height of the ceilings, and how long the heat will need to be, or how long you'll need to heat your home if you live in a colder climate. So it's not for everyone. So those are just some things to keep in mind and consider. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me for a few and getting educated. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, I would be I would love to be your real estate resource that you reach out to and use. That's going to wrap it up for me. I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you here tomorrow. Take care.